If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jason Capirchio. I'm from Brunswick, Ohio. Grew up in Connecticut. Moved out here for work, and yeah, definitely looking forward to being on the show.
You said you live in Ohio at the moment?
Brunswick, Ohio. Yep.
Okay. What you say work got you out there?
Yeah, I work for Dealer Tire, a big company. Started out in Ohio, and I started working with them in Connecticut, and then we moved to Baltimore for a few years, and then eventually moved here where the company started. And yeah, no, we love Ohio, big state, a lot of woods, a lot of nature, and all that. We're into that.
Okay, yeah, we're pretty close. We're here in PA, so we're not that far away.
Yeah, I saw you guys are about like 4 hours from here.
Yep. Not too
Yeah,
bad. We're anticipating the snowstorm, so
yeah. Are you
Yeah,
guys
it's coming.
big Steelers fans with Aaron Rodgers and all that?
No, so I'm actually a Raiders fan.
Yeah, I see the
To
Raiders in the
be,
background. So are both of
yeah.
you
yeah,
Raiders
not too
fans?
happy. No, he's actually a Panthers
Yep,
fan.
I'm a Panthers fan.
We
Panthers.
like to
Oh,
change it up. Yeah,
Yeah. It's a little different.
but
But
we're both Boston Celtics fans.
yep.
oh,
So
Celtics. Yeah, I saw them live when one of their last games before the Four Musketeers broke up. That was what Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Rajon
okay.
Rondo.
Oh
Um,
wow.
I loved watching them. Yeah, they were against the Toronto Raptors. Once, I used to go to, so living in Connecticut, I was an hour away from the Patriots Stadium, so I used to go to a few
Mm.
games a year. And the Celtics games, yeah, the Celtics. It was special to see them live. Paul Pierce is one of my favorites.
Yeah, for us for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Growing up, that was like our childhood. Like that's all we seen play. So
Watching them win a championship,
I mean,
yeah,
and then now
against the Lakers.
he could have deserted Boston and left in his prime, but he always stood by the team, and I loved that about him. Carried the team on his shoulders when they had Antoine Walker. You know,
oh wow, yeah,
Yeah. We were going through a little rut there for a second. So
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So I did want to get into like how you started out with your writing. So I know you said you've been doing it. Listen to your other podcast you had with I forget her name at the moment, but you said that you started around 14 years old. I just want to know, like, how'd you get into that?
So, so when I was a teenager, I grew up in a tough childhood. We didn't have sometimes we didn't have a place to, we didn't know where we were going to live. You know, abusive stepfather, verbally, physically and whatnot. When you're a kid, you kind of look for an outlet. My outlet was, I got into boxing, kickboxing, football, and then when I came home, I would write. So
mm,
I felt like that was a source for me to get out, built up stress, especially
for
writing.
sure.
Writing was it was a way for me to kind of just create my own world. When you're a kid and you're limited to what you can do or where you can go, you got to kind of create your own thing. And it's either you could go one way or you could go the other. It's up to you. Where you come from has no you know no destination for you in mind. It's up to you. But I would write as in I would get paper. I would fold it like this, and I would write it in comic book format. I would draw the cover,
Okay.
the back, and then inside I would have the characters, the bubbles coming out of their mouths. And then years later, those stories kind of just I had over 320 of them. I had them
Oh
just
wow.
sitting in a bag, and I people always said, "Oh, well, you can't go to school for that. You got to kind of get a real job and all that." And, because
Mm.
it was always a dream of mine when I was a kid. And, I went that path and, worked my way up with the company from unloading, tractor trailers, and which I still do with, we're so shorthanded where we are now. The workforce isn't what it was used to be. It's hard to find people these days. But and then also, anyways, so I started doing that. And then, my wife, when I met her, she saw my stories and she said, "You really got to get this stuff out there and you got to start writing it." And she's like, "I don't know why you ever stopped." And she loved my stuff. And that was definitely the passion and the motivation from her that got me to start up going again. And, I turned a lot of my stories into screenplays, and they've been taking off. And, I've gotten very close to, getting it made on there was a studio that's in Ohio. It's brand new. It's called Schoolyard Studio, and they had a contest. First place gets a deal with them where their screenplay gets turned into a TV series. either on Amazon or Netflix. They work with both, and I was second place. So
Oh, wow.
I got that close, and just to get that close, it was defeating, but also made me very happy to that I was, that I came that close to, fulfilling my dream with a big movie studio that they built in Ohio, and yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I love writing horror. That's my specialty when it comes to writing. I can, the screenplays I've come out with, only it took me a few months to write as a screenplay. I wrote a romance comedy as well. That took that I'm not a big rom-com type of guy, but I kind of wrote one from a guy's perspective. So guys
Okay.
and women would like it. And it's not just like for women, and
Yeah.
but yeah, so I wrote one of those. It took me like a year and a half to write that. Very challenging and um sci-fi horror comedy. I like the 80s. I love the 80s movies, and I like to all the writings that all the screenplays I wrote, I write them as original as possible. It's like nothing else. I want to make sure it's very original and you got to protect yourself. You got to get copyrights, you got to do all that. Any other writers that are listening, that's a big thing. And you got to watch out for scammers too. Unfortunately, that's everywhere. I'm sure you guys come across
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes,
there's
sir.
one I mean, I don't know how these people sleep at night, but they must sleep pretty well because
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
But, you mentioned from, like, the age of 14 to 15, from there on that you wrote about 350, stories in a sense, and then from what age did you start actually publishing or actually moving forward with, like, releasing these?
So, that would be 2018?
Okay. So it
Yeah.
was, like, a pretty good distance, a pretty good jump,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure, for
from
sure. Um,
and you
uh,
said they recently just started taking off, correct? Like, for
yeah,
me, when you sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no,
for
no.
me, when you say there's, like, 350, it's like, how do you go in and pick certain ones that stand out not only to you, but if to from a marketing standpoint, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, no, absolutely, so I no, that's well said, well said, so I have some stories that are very, very, very deep, you know,
Okay.
I don't think that would do me any good putting those out now. I kinda gotta try to break the barrier, and I feel like breaking
Yep.
the barrier is kinda giving the audience what they want. You know what I mean? And,
Okay.
Mm.
Yep.
horror's kinda taken off right now, and I got a lot of stories to tell in that aspect. Yeah, no, I just feel like, picking and choosing the right ones, um, you gotta be passionate about it, and I put a lot of passion into my characters, and I just feel like, yeah, it's like the right time to put these out?
Yep. Now, when you say about picking and choosing, are you still, like, picking from that bag of stories you already have? Or are you still creating in a sense of, like, getting new ideas, and these ideas are something that you're really passionate about that you would rather push these first rather than the ones that you created previously?
No, no, that's a very good question. So Once Upon a Dirt Nap, uh, th that was one of my first stories I wrote, and that was 1998. So, yeah, and, let's see, and then after that, I had Eggs in the Attic. I wanna say I wrote that in '99. Um,
Okay.
and then, Why Me, I wrote in 2001. And then Pumpkin Jack, I just came out with that. I wrote that, I wanna say in 1999. And then, I'm writing a new screenplay now it's completely fresh. It's called The Stumbling Tourist, and it's a action comedy, takes place in Italy, so I had to do a lot of research for that. Has to do with the mob a little bit and everything. Very fresh, very good. Kinda goes back to, like, the buddy cop movies, except it's more little different story, but it's, like, around
Okay.
the same type of genre, I guess.
Now you said writing horror is your favorite. Besides
Yes.
horror, like, what is your other favorite genre to write in?
Oh, so, yeah, I mean, I would say comedy. So I've written a couple, not screenplays, like comic book type stuff from when I was a kid, for like Adult Swim that I would imagine would be good for.
Okay.
Or back in the day, that would be like MTV or Comedy Central. It's so different now.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
but yeah, I enjoy writing comedy as well.
Okay. Now you said you're like into sci-fi and horror. Like, I know we over here, we're big believers in the UFO game. And now, do you have anything like that that you have written in the years?
Yes, so I wrote something, it was called Blazer. It's about a space team in a couple thousand years from now, when Earth
Okay.
is no longer. I didn't make that into a screenplay yet. I wrote 4 of them. Kind of different from Star Trek and Star Wars. It's more like just like a World War II in like in the sky.
Oh,
Pretty
okay.
much fighting for galaxies and whatnot. Um, then I wrote stuff for, let's see, I wrote a story called Hard to Kill, which was kind of a story of a UFO crashing into a field in the middle of Nebraska. And
Hmm.
it's in the 1970s, and his family is kind of like trapped and stalked by this thing that just came out of the crash. And it's all about
Hmm.
them fighting for survival. I never wrote that into a screenplay, but yeah, I definitely have some good stories on that. I wrote one, a comedy called Stardust about these little creatures they find on a planet and whatnot. Um, yeah, I enjoy going into that and like kind of getting into that mindset. I feel like it's a little fun to get like playful like that, and just try to come up with
Yeah.
some original storytelling because I feel like a lot of these trailers that come out nowadays kind of lead people astray because they show a trailer for something and you're like, "Oh my god, this looks awesome." And then you watch it and it's anything but you saw in the trailer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I definitely agree with what you're saying right there. So when
Oh,
you say, I lost my thought right there for a second. Man, what was I gonna say? So when it comes to when you write these stories, like, what's your main motivation? Because you can kinda for me, it's like when I get into writing, if I'm getting into any kind of like get into deep in my imagination, like what motivates you to like write about these and to keep going on a storyline, if that makes sense?
um, just I get that kind of that creativity and just flowing through my mind. So when I write, I never have like a storyboard before I start writing. I'll start writing,
Okay.
and it's almost like my mind's on play, and I'm kind of
Okay.
writing what I see. It really is like that, and there is no storyboard. I just continue, but in order to do that takes a lot of physical and mental energy. Like I come home from work during the week and my wife will say, "Oh, you have a few hours. Why don't you go write?" My mind is gone. And we got 3 kids at home, 7, 5, and 3. And coming home from work, you want to play with them and give them and the wife and kids, you want to give them all the energy you have. And the weekend is the best time, I would say. But, yeah, what keeps motivating me is, I still have that passion, and I still have that drive, and I feel like I could come out with some of the best movies that have ever come out. I've written Westerns too as, comic books. I wanted to get into some screenplays. I've written, I think, 6 of those. So, yeah, I try to write in every genre, and anything that challenges me, I'll take it head on. If, something challenges me as a writer, like the romance comedy, I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "That's gonna be tough as hell to come out with a good story like that." But, I was like, "I'm gonna do it," you know?
It's like a challenge. Yeah.
Right.
And I remember what I was gonna ask you. When it comes to, screenplay, I hear you mention screenplay a lot more than a story. What is the difference there from someone that doesn't understand it in a sense? Like, what's
Right.
different from a screenplay and a story? Like in a book in a sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I won a few contests where 3 of my screenplays got published for free because of winning the contest, and, so the difference between and it's published and as a book, like, you see the cover, and then on the back, it tells a little bit about it, and then you open it.
Okay.
The only difference from a screenplay format that's, printed out as a book and sold in a store. The only difference from screenplay to regular book writing is screenplay is set to be shot in front of a camera. So when
Okay.
you read like my screenplay published books, that's ready to go in front of a camera.
Okay.
Interior, exterior. It's a completely different way of writing for sure. But I mean, you could envision it. It's actually you could almost envision it and use your imagination more than reading an actual book because this is giving you the whole setting, and there's a quite a decent sized fan base for them too, for the screenplay books.
So do you read it differently? Would I read it differently than I would read it on a book? That makes sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And that's a very good question. You would, just because it'll fade in, fade out.
Okay.
It'll talk interior, exterior, outside, outside, inside. Yeah, it explains more. So in a screenplay, it explains more because it's telling the guy behind the camera, "Hey, this is how it's got to be," and
Okay.
having that, you could kind of see. So let's put it this way: like if you're reading a book, a lot of people say, "Well, when I read that book, you could kind of have your own imagination on what's happening." Right?
Mhm.
But, like, with the screenplay, you could see literally what the writer is trying to set up,
Okay. Yeah,
So it's,
that makes more sense. Yeah.
yeah, it's really neat,
And
I'm hoping Pumpkin Jack, that's out there soon. That should I just kinda published that, it was, I wrote it, like, maybe a year and a half ago, um, and that should be, it's getting a lot of, festival wins, so it's won a few awards already. Hasn't been out long,
is
so
and that is out? Where can we find that at?
So it's not published yet. I just, so what I mean is, I got the copyright for it and I've been sending it
Okay.
to festivals and it's getting a lot
Yep.
of recognition. So I would imagine it will probably get published if, I keep winning these festivals. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, the more notice it gets, then eventually, um, yeah, I'm going to enter it into a genre screenplay contest, and with all the awards it's getting right now, it's like almost like the build up to showcase it, and then I'll send it off to and see how it does in that festival.
That sounds like you're really close to hitting your dream there.
Yeah, like, you're just that one step away, it sounds like.
Oh man, I appreciate that, guys. I hope so. It's always been my dream ever since I was a kid, and I had no guidance towards this. I put myself through community college. It's not like, I went to college and learned how to be a writer. I actually went to community college and I took a writing class and I actually didn't do that well in it because I didn't really like the teacher, and
Mhm.
a lot of times you get these people, and he knew I was kind of like I wanted to be a writer, and you get these guys that have egos the size of Texas. When you have somebody that
Mm.
has an ego and they're trying to teach something that you love, you can't teach love and you can't teach people the way you
Passion,
wanna do it,
yeah.
It's either you have it or you don't. And,
It's kinda hard to teach an art too, like,
it
when it
is,
comes to
yeah.
creating stories and stuff like that. It's more of an art than it is like a step-by-step process.
Absolutely, I agree, and, that's well said, and, like you said, everybody has that different passion inside of them, and, yeah, it's very hard. You gotta, if I'm giving any messages to people, you gotta protect your stuff. Like all the stories I named, like the sci-fi stories, the horror stories, I got all those copyrighted, even the ideas, just the ideas, and not that, even though they're not as screenplays yet, like the sci-fis I was mentioning, Blazer, Stardust, like I have all those copyrighted. You gotta protect yourself because the scammers are out there, like you guys with the podcast, right? You'll have a unique spin what you guys do, and then you might get guys that really try and they just want to see what you're doing, and then they want to try to sponge off of that. So it's everything you do as a passion, writing, podcasts, I mean, it takes work to put into it, right? And you gotta
Yes, sir.
protect that's your baby in a way, right? I mean, it's you
Yep.
gotta protect it.
So now when you say I kind of on the same path with you, I also am married with 3 kids. So I
Well,
can understand when you come home from working and you wanna work on your passion, it's very stressful at times because 'cause you're tired and you're not stressed out, but you can't really give your 100% in that term. So when it comes to that, do you use that as motivation or like when it comes to your family and your kids, do you kind of branch off your kids like creativity and their ideas to like make stories based around that or even kids stories so that you can not I don't mean to say stories, but because it's more of a screenplay you're kind of pushed towards, but for me it kind of is a story if that makes sense.
with your family, right?
Yeah,
Like
so, like,
having
what I'm asking, like, for, like, do you get ideas or motivation from, like, your kids or your wife in a sense of, like in the middle of a conversation, you're talking and you're like, "Oh, I can use that for, the screenplay I'm working on," or, "I can use that perspective for what I'm writing right now." That
Absolutely, absolutely. So that actually goes back to before I had kids. I had my little, my little sister growing up when my mom remarried, to my stepfather. They had a child, and that's my little sister. And they say, obviously they say step siblings. I consider her, that's my sister, but
Yep.
obviously the stepfather, that's different. You have a different parent that's not blood or whatever. But yeah, my sister, I have two sisters. But anyways, when she was little, my youngest sister, and I was a teenager, she wanted me to read her books before bed, and I thought, well, what if I write her something that she would really like? And I created this character called Foxy, and it was a fox that would go through trials and errors of being like a kind of like a child fox, a little toddler in a way where the mother's always pointing things out, and Foxy learns to, like, grow up and whatnot, and has, like, there was a bunny friend, and then there was a turtle, and they would take turns going on the slide, and then they would fight on, "It's my turn," or "I'm going again," and they would have to learn to share, and there would be some sorta, like, compromise between the 3, and I tried to, I wrote her those books. I think I wrote her, like, 3 of them, and, yeah, and she still remembers those, and she says, "Are you gonna write those for Abby, Livy, and Wesley?" And I said, "Well," I said, "I'm actually, thinking about it now." So I am thinking of going in that direction again. They motivate me a lot, just because, I'll see them playing with their toys, and I see that imagination and creating, like, a whole world with with their toys, action figures. Wesley loves his dinosaurs. Like, he literally can't go in his crib. He says, "Dad, I want my dinos." And I'm like, "Your dinos?" I was like, "Which one?" There's like 1,000 of
Yeah.
them. I'll tell you what, they talk about Legos, stepping on Legos, walking to the bathroom. If you ever step on a dinosaur, it's like literally, it feels like a knife
Oh.
through your foot. But,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
his crib is full of
Definitely.
dinosaurs. I'm like, "Where are you? Are you sleeping in there?" But,
Yeah.
it's like, he buries himself in dinosaurs. But, and then the kids, they love their Barbies and their American dolls and all that, and they create their own world with that. And yeah, I see them with an imagination, and it really, it excites me to see that because, it's passion and behind imagination, and you're creating something that didn't exist.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying there because with having young kids as well, I they're starting to play by themselves and grow that imagination, so I understand, like, I'm going through that as you're saying that, so but for me, when you say about writing these stories, it sounds like you were into this at a very young age, like, was there a film or was there a book that really got you into, like, writing or got you into storytelling?
So, that's a really good question. I loved Goosebumps when I was a kid. Goosebumps, the book, the books, the TV shows. Um, a lot of my favorite movies were from the '80s. Like, I loved the Terminator, right? That's like, what, '89, and then you got '91, I think, for Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Beetlejuice, anything Tim Burton. Then you got E.T., the extraterrestrial. Ghoulies. You guys ever see Ghoulies? The horror movies from the '80s, or,
Ghoulies?
or,
I
or
don't
like
think I have, no.
maybe Gremlins.
I've seen
You know,
Gremlins,
Gremlins,
yep,
yep.
seen Gremlins, yep.
Then, you get, like, Jurassic Park when, people built things with their hands, and I love that. I'm not a fan of CGI at all. If I ever fulfill my dream and make films, I want people to build things with their hands because I feel like putting that art and passion into something physically is really special, and I just feel like it gives a more authentic view of things in movies, creatures in movies that you created with your hands rather than computer animated. You know what I mean? Like, you have a physical thing that you created, like the dinosaurs in the original Jurassic Park, all animatronics. And then you got
Mhm.
Jurassic Park. I think Jurassic World was mostly animatronics, and Jurassic Park 3, all a lot of CGI, like the pterodactyls and whatnot. And you can't really take it serious. I feel like the original Godzilla, like, right, as small of a thing it was that they created, that made it look huge on screen, as opposed to the animated one. I feel like it's looks better to see the physical creation that an artist built with their hands. Like Gremlins. Gremlins was all what puppetry and created, and then you had E.T. the extraterrestrial that was all hand created. I feel like that's the heartbeat of old Hollywood, and that's the heartbeat of storytelling is bringing something to life, whether it's a story and then also a physical presence on screen.
Yeah, so that's gonna lead me to this question when it comes to, CGI and AI. How do you feel about, AI? I know it was a big thing with, like, the Writers Guild and stuff. They wanted their I know they were on strike for a while because the AI wanted to use their likeness for background characters and stuff.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Oh, I hate it. I think, the thing is AI, so people I feel like it's the lazy way out, like an artist is trying to write a story, right? And you give it an idea and it shoots out all this stuff. But here's the thing. AI cannot create something. All the writers are talking about this, right? And, writing books or screenplays or whatever, like, well, what do we need writers for? We can make a movie with AI. No, you can't. What you can do is you can sponge off of movies that are already hits. AI cannot create something that does not exist. If you put like if you say, I want a romantic story about this guy who goes on journeys with he has a hat and a whip or whatever, it's going
Mhm.
to literally create a story of Indiana Jones, but it's going to be a retelling of it. But it's going to
Yeah,
be
right.
so AI is going to generate when you say that, when you write that in there, AI is going to generate all stories that have to do with the romance and the action, and they're going to look throughout the whole Hollywood database. But if you can't give it an idea that didn't already happen, if that makes sense. Like you can't, you know what I mean? You can't, it's gonna spit out stuff that's already happened. It's a combination. Just like when you see a movie come out, I think it was Top Gun back in the day in the 80s. And then after that, they had follow-ups that were trying to like capture that because like, it's a movie about like flying jets and whatnot. And
Mhm.
they come out with a movie, I want to say it was like Iron Eagle or something like that, and it was very similar to Top Gun, but it wasn't as good. So I feel like that's what you're gonna get with AI. You're gonna say, "Make me a story of this guy that creates a island full of dinosaurs." They're gonna create a screenplay based off of movies that have that kind of retelling, and just feel like a knockoff. So I feel like that's what's gonna happen. I just and I don't think it's a good thing to be taking over because I feel like James Cameron even said it in an interview. He's getting that passion to write another Terminator movie
Mhm.
because of what's going on with AI, and that's what he was afraid of. I mean, the crazy story is when James Cameron was on his deathbed, he had this high fever, and doctors didn't know what was wrong, and he almost died, and he went into like a fever coma, and in that fever coma, he had a dream of the movie The Terminator. And
Oh,
that's
wow.
what, and then when he
You know
woke
that?
up with and the fever broke, he said, "I need a paper and pen. I gotta start writing because he had the dream of the beginning and the end of Terminator, and he says, "This is, literally what's happening." Like,
Yeah,
That's
it's
insane.
almost
that
like
is crazy.
Skynet taking over. I mean, think about it, it's a lot of companies are looking at getting rid of the labor force and getting these robots that like start taking over like
Yeah.
simple tasks. A lot of people are going to be out of a lot of work. Elon Musk has a lot of visions about what's going to happen and what does he think like in 20, 30 years that we're not going to need the workforce. We're going to be that we could all live rich and we could all, you know,
Off like a, income from the government in a sense.
yeah, and I think that's kind of
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, for
Yeah, it
sure.
is. I think that kinda takes away from, like, the human personal needs as well.
100%.
Um, and I definitely can see the benefits. 'Cause I heard the podcast he was talking about it, and I could see the benefits from creative side. People can focus on their passions, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you've you go through those trials and tribulations in life, and that kinda creates, like, not a passion, but kinda creates a story and helps build that story, that grow the passion in a sense, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
No, no, it does. Very, very well said. Yeah, no, I agree with that too. And he is a genius in a way. People will knock him for being a little cuckoo at certain points, right? He might say something, act a certain way, having his kids how he does it, whatever. A lot of people don't agree with that. I don't either, but the guy's very smart. You can't say that he isn't. He's almost like scary smart.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm,
it's almost like a modern day Einstein in a way where if all this technology existed, but yeah, of course he has an ego. I mean, how could you not, right? But um,
oh, for sure.
you got to have a little bit of pride. But yeah, no, it's scary with AI. I don't like where it's going. Even people who write music. I have a friend that writes music, and he loves it, and he puts a lot of passion into his songs, and they're great, amazing songs. And you know, I AI, where's the passion? I mean, it's literally sponging off of artists who worked their butt off to tell something from inside their soul and put it into lyrics. And now
Yep.
you got this software program, whatever the hell you want to really announce it as, and it's just really
It's so weird.
taking control over this, and it's kind of crazy. And I really I feel like people are going to be brainless and mindless at some point. Like you guys ever see the movie Wall-E, right? Where
Oh,
everybody
for sure.
becomes
Yep.
everybody becomes so obese they have no legs. I think it was right, and you're kind of got
Yep.
these robots rolling around. Everybody's going to be the next generation's going to be like born. Oh, but like first child born without a brain, yet it can function. Because all it's
Mm.
got to do is ask AI how to do everything because it's taken away our thoughts. Like it's taken away what we got to ask for all these answers because we can't figure it out on our own. You're going to write a song by using AI, you're going to lose that passion inside of you to write music because there's the lazy way out.
You're
And
also going to lose that creativity too, as well, because you're not
yeah,
getting that feedback of, I created this. It's more of I typed it into a system to create it for me.
yes,
So you're going to
100%.
lose that drive.
And I'm not gonna lie, come out and say we use AI to a standpoint of certain parts of when it comes to cover arts and stuff because it's for us right now, it's just quicker and we benefit from that standpoint.
Yeah, I could
But
see that. I
other than
agree.
that, yeah, other than that, we don't even when it came to this podcast, like, we wanted to be genuine. We didn't wanna, like, go through AI and be like, "Hey, what questions should we ask?" We just wanted to just be genuine with it because I feel like AI does bring out the human feel of it. And I resonate when you say with the music. I actually am an audio engineer. I come from the audio, industry. So
Wow.
even to this day, like, the industry is changing because of AI. Like, it's very oversaturated to the point that, like, we have AI artists now that are being signed over humans, and it's kind of upsetting and disappointing to the fact that it's like people are out here really working. This is their craft, and people working full-time jobs and doing this on the side to try to, like, follow their passion and their dream, and it's like AI is just kind of taking over or taking that spot of the human. So I can see where you're coming from with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. And for you as an artist as well, it's gotta feel defeating, right? Because like, you're working for something and you're pushing forward and you keep moving forward. You fall down, you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, you keep going, and then you got this. And this isn't talent. It's
Yeah.
something that's just kinda taken over whether we like it or not, and I don't think there's anything no one's gonna pull the plug on it, let's face it, you know? And,
No.
like I said, the passion and without like you were saying before, the talent, right? You gotta have the talent with the passion. Without the passion, you need both, right? And without you're not going to have passion to put out your talent when you got this thing taken over,
Yep.
right? You're going to have the talent. You're going to have that built inside of you. You're going to have that love for what you want to accomplish already built inside of you, but you're not going to have any passion to put that out if this thing is consistently kind of breaking the barrier and putting new stuff out. It takes the heartbeat away from anything you wanna accomplish, but somehow, yeah, we just gotta, creative minds like yourselves, you have your podcast, right? And like you said, you guys are talking, it's not AI talking, So I think it's very important just to keep doing what you guys do in creating your own heartbeat, keep that going and let this thing kind of just hopefully it fizzles out at some point. Maybe people will get frustrated with it. But I don't think so because
Yeah.
you're gonna have the billionaires. In the end, it's gonna benefit them. And if it benefits them, we kind of have no choice.
Yeah, for sure. Like I already see AI commercials, and that's just cutting cost in half right there. You don't have to hire anybody, and you really don't have to produce anything. If the AI is creating it for you, you can create it right there on your software and then upload it right to your system, and you got a commercial
Isn't that
that just cuts
crazy?
your cost. That's insane.
It's mind blowing, honestly.
Yeah, you don't have a director, you don't have a anything with filmography, you don't have actors, you don't have someone writing the commercial, it's just uploaded.
Exactly.
It's pretty insane.
It's wild to think.
Yeah, I mean
So let's talk about.
oh, no, you're
I'm
good.
sorry. Let's get into a little bit about sports. You said you're a big. Are you a Boston Celtics fan? Are you into like the New England Patriots? Are you a New England fan?
So, I'm a huge Patriots fan, I've never missed a game since I've been
Oh
10
wow.
years old. I played football, and I played football in high school and looked up to, Drew Bledsoe at the time because he was, what I think I was a freshman, and, yeah, then Brady took over, and, man, I love the Brady's the GOAT in my eyes. I've never missed a game. I'm a huge Pats fan, big time, and I love Drake May. I love what Drake May is doing with his offense, and I love, how he handles the pressure. I mean, he is ice cold blood right now, and I feel like Mike Vrabel's a
Yeah.
hell of a coach. Yeah, I love my team. I love our chances this weekend against Denver. Without, Bo Nix, I feel like Denver's gonna Jared Stidham, I mean, he was with us for a little while. He can't really what you do in preseason is not the same as regular season or
Playoffs.
postseason.
Oh
In
yeah.
preseason, you're going up against guys who are new in the game or teams are looking at them to see how they do. You're not going up against guys who are giving 100%. They're probably giving like 30, 40%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when it comes to with Drake May and everything, it's crazy to see how like the Patriots turn things around so quick. Like the dynasty. Our brother is a big Patriots fan, so growing up,
Oh,
all we heard about is Patriots going to the Super Bowl with Tom Brady, which Tom Brady is the GOAT.
oh,
Oh,
I
for
thank you.
believe
sure.
Yeah.
that. But yeah, just from seeing him going from like the Tom Brady era down to Daniel Jones and going through that rough, now to
Mac
see him
Jones.
Mac Jones, well, now to see him going through like kind of back into like not that Drake May replace Tom Brady is like irreplaceable, but it's like it's kinda unbelievable to think, like, in a sense that I can see the next 10 years Drake May being a top quarterback of the league,
Oh
like,
yeah.
from what I'm seeing right now.
Oh, 100%. I don't think he's playing like a rookie. He's playing like a veteran.
Yeah,
And he's outclassing Josh Allen in the postseason. Josh Allen did have a big game. Obviously, that's heartbreaking for Buffalo fans. I respect the hell out of Josh Allen. I was so happy to see that the Chiefs weren't in it. I hate the Chiefs. But
Mhm.
just to see him pick up that weight, to see all those banners hanging up in Gillette Stadium with all our Super Bowl wins, 6 of them, and he sees that, and he knows he doesn't have one, but doesn't give a damn, he's not the
yeah,
first he's not the next Tom Brady, but he's gonna be the first Drake May, and I feel
yeah,
like, Mike Vrabel, I have some, Patriot I got a plaque from every Super Bowl they won ever since I was a kid. I was a paper boy when I was a little kid making my own money, and I would go to take the bus to the mall, and I would pick up some Pats, like memorabilia, and I got a plaque from every Super Bowl they won, and, I have Mike Vrabel on one of the plaques when he was one of our, the linebackers for New England, and he was just so good, and, you had guys like Willie McGinnis, you had Ty Law, Rodney Harrison, Ted Johnson, you had all these great guys, and then we had a great offense, we had Antoine Smith, we had Troy Brown, obviously we had Julian Edelman, Chris Hogan, you know, um good guys over there. Just so many great players, and I feel like we're starting up again. Stephon Diggs is great to have in the locker room. I mean, he's probably only got a couple years left in him where he'll start really declining, but he's really given that push. And obviously, all these wide receivers, a lot of them, they all have egos. You got to have an ego to play a sport, no matter who you are. You can't go in there not caring because then no one's gonna be like, "What do you mean you don't care that we lost?" You gotta have
yeah,
that drive to win. It's all about that animal inside of you, and you just let it out on the field, and, when I played high school football, I took it very, very serious, and I wanted to win all the time, but, Yeah, Drake May, I feel like he's the next leader in our locker room. Mac Jones, I knew him when we got him in. I just kind of thought he was kind of like a crybaby a little bit. He couldn't take any hits and, had an AC joint sprain, sat out for 6 weeks. Brady had an AC joint sprain, played through the whole entire season with it. And that was
Mm,
in Brady's throwing arm. Mac Jones had
yeah.
an AC joint sprain in his non-throwing arm and took, I think it was like 6 weeks off. And I'm like, my God. But then he showed up in San Francisco. So it's all about, I feel like it's all about the coach too. You know what I mean? Like if you have somebody looking over you, whether it's a boss or a coach, you have that somebody that, believes in you. That's all you need, and that's where Belichick and Brady, I knew what Belichick was without Brady because when Belichick first signed with New England, I think we went 5-11. He was on the hot seat to get fired after 1 year. And then we had a losing record when Brady took over, and then we go to the Super Bowl. So, the whole locker room said that Brady built everybody up in that locker room, made them believe. And I said to my buddies, I said, when Brady leaves, we will never have a winning season again until Belichick leaves. And he said, oh, you're crazy. He goes, guaranteed we make the playoffs. I said, no way. And then Brady left and we fell apart. And then what does everybody say? They go, well, we're going to see. Brady's in Tampa Bay. Belichick's still in New England. We're going to see. Now after this season, we'll know who was the heartbeat of the team. And I think it was both of them to an extent because I feel like Belichick was very bitter towards Brady, obviously, because of what the character that he was and how he made everybody around the locker room believe. But then once Brady went to Tampa Bay Super Bowl, Belichick fired, so it's just
Mm.
it said a lot to me on what Brady was to that team and how much he meant. I mean, when they were down 28-6 against the Falcons in the Super
That
Bowl,
was a that
I
was a
had a I
great
had a
game.
gigantic party. Anytime they were in a Super Bowl, we had like a shot dispensing machine for New England and all that. This year when they go, it's just gonna be the wife and the kids because now that we didn't have kids then. But it was they were losing 28-6. We had a party and people were like, oh, we're gonna leave, get home early and go to bed. I was like, no, 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 no. I said, you see him sitting on that bench right there with his head down? I said, he's not giving up. And I said, if you guys leave, your seat next year will not be available, you know?
Mm.
I wanna so, they stayed and, the comeback happened. I mean, I'll never get over the Giants, what they did to us.
Yeah.
I mean, Eli Manning could literally you see him throwing the ball, before he throws the ball, his hair is sticking up, his mouth's wide open, and his eyes are rolled into the back of his head,
Mm.
and then he throws a pass that's caught over the helmet. I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me." And they had, like,
Yeah.
6 guys surrounding Eli, pulling him down, and somehow he got out of it, and I was like, "Oh my god," and, when they did that to New England, I wanted to call out of work the next day. I was, like, so depressed, but, I almost punched a hole through the wall, like, I was, like, really pissed. I was, like I could feel the hate. Yeah, not the hate, I could feel the anger from New England, and, man, it was just, it's almost like, the kryptonite to Superman, kryptonite Brady's was always Eli.
Yeah.
Yep.
He had
And to
Peyton's
see that
number, but Eli, no.
and that season they had that year, I remember
Ugh,
I was probably like 8, 9, that season they had that year was incredible, like,
undefeated.
they were undefeated into the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, and it was so, like, when I remember seeing that catch, like, in person, and remember
Oh,
thinking, like, like, so
yeah, no.
surprised at a young age being like, "How did that even possibly happen?"
Like, how did that you can't replicate that again. It's like,
No.
right? It's
Nope.
even as a kid, you could see that, right? And at 8 years old, you gotta figure imagine your brain's still growing and you're like, "Wait, what the hell?" I mean, how was that? That can't
Doesn't
happen.
make sense, yeah.
No, and, yeah, oh, man, I was so mad when that happened, but, man, we had Randy Moss that year too, and we were just playing spectacular, but no, I will always argue to the death that it was Brady and not Belichick. I mean, Belichick really did not in the end, our last Super Bowl, I don't think he really his passion wasn't there, and he kinda wanted to see Brady fail, like, you could see it on the sidelines, and then you get people on Facebook, everybody wants to be a critic and, talk shit or whatever, but then we had Belichick's replacement, and he didn't do too well, and then, Mike Vrabel, it's all about, like, what you do with your players, you can't the last coach after Belichick was he was taking them out, they were going out drinking and out partying before they played the London game. If you're more of a friend to these guys, then they're not gonna really respect you as being a leader, you know?
Mm.
Like,
Especially at the level they are making millions of dollars, like, in a sense, they're living out their dream. So,
yeah.
for me, when I look at it, that hunger in a sense of getting there probably come it's not there as much as it was when they're going through college. So now if I'm going out drinking with my coach, it's like the hunger isn't really there, so
Right, you're going out against it you're going out drinking with the guy who's kinda, like, disciplining you guys, you know?
yeah.
And, that was the thing I loved about Brady, he would always give more money back towards the team. The one thing I hated about the Patriots until now is when it came time to pay these guys, Robert Kraft was pretty damn cheap. Stingy with
Mm.
his money, you know, and then we would end up losing good players, and then Brady, instead of getting paid a gigantic contract, would have to take a cut in his contract to get back towards the salary cap. But he always did that. So for Brady, it was never the money; it was love of the game. I mean, Jesus, I mean, if he could still play, you got guys. Aaron Rodgers, what I think he, I read that this week that he re-signed with Pittsburgh. So I mean,
Oh,
that's to me,
I
that's
didn't see that, okay.
he acts like he doesn't care and he's like, "Well, I'll see." But the thing is, he kinda has Pittsburgh under his thumb. You know what I mean? So he's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh, they want me. Yeah, I'll come back another year." If he has a decent
Why
year, I
not?
wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if he comes back again. He has that personality where he doesn't wanna give it away. He has that good poker face where he's like, "We'll see how it goes," you know? And I thought the thing about Aaron Rodgers is he man, they always compared him to Brady, but you can't compare the 2. Aaron Rodgers
Mhm.
does get a little selfish, but he's still very good though. He can't move around inside and outside the pocket as well as he used to. But if you put him around a strong offensive line and you give him time to get rid of the ball, he'll put it where right in the basket, you know?
And it's pretty impressive with his age, like, even with Brady, even to go over to basketball and see LeBron still doing what he's doing, it's pretty impressive, like,
I mean,
to
and
see
playing
them
with his son. Yeah.
yep, and yeah, to play with his son as well, it's like, even just to be a younger and realizing, like, that's a reality in a sense of like, you would never thought about that 20 years ago or 15 years ago that LeBron would be let alone on the same team as his son playing, is just it's mind-blowing.
I mean, it's living the dream and then some,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
I mean, you're living your dream and now your kid is following in your footsteps and you inspired him to follow the same dream and now you guys are playing together. I mean, that's something that's made in movies, you know? And,
Yeah.
people will talk about LeBron and Michael. I always think Michael's the GOAT. And the only reason I'll say it, people will say it was a different game back then. It was also a very physical game back when Jordan played. When Jordan played, it was a very physical basketball game. You know,
Mm.
guys would get hurt nonstop. Now you can't I mean, in football, you can't even touch anybody pretty much, you know, but
Yeah.
Jordan was really special, you know, and when he went to college, his mom lived with him in college just to make sure he stayed off of drugs and alcohol, just so he stayed straight edge and kept his mind focused, and I feel like if Jordan came out today, he would be light years ahead of everybody else, just because back when he came out of college, he saw how everybody played and he wanted to be 10 times better, and he was you know, and he would have came out of college today with the same attitude and the same drive, and he would do it. I think he would.
Yeah.
It's built inside of him. There's an animal inside of that guy that nobody could replicate, and he was just one of a. It's like watching a god on the basketball court. And as a Celtics fan, obviously, I'm not going to be biased and say, well, that's not true, but Jordan to me is the GOAT in NBA and Brady, of course, for football, and then you got Tiger Woods for golf, you know?
So do you when you bring up golf, do you golf as well?
No, so I've golfed with friends in the past. No, since we had kids, we just my grandfather golfed when he retired and whatnot. I'd like to get into it again when I get older and more time. I'm not good at it, so that kind of and I'm very competitive. So yeah, uh, there might be a
Mhm.
few snapped golf clubs snapped in half or thrown into the woods or a
Yeah.
lot of swearing or maybe getting kicked off the golf course. I'm very competitive when it comes to any type of sport.
That probably would also the competitiveness, that probably also helps you with your screenwriting and stuff like that. Just to, like just to make entertaining and good stories behind things. But also, I wanna get into golfing as well. It's just being a father of 3 at the moment is very my time is very limited. That's
Right.
why as well, we're doing this later than
No,
expected, but, I mean,
props off
sometimes
to
you just
you.
kinda
Mm.
No, I appreciate that. You as well, man. Seeing everything you're doing, being in this field nowadays, you kind of have to be an entrepreneur yourself. You kind of have to push these
Yeah.
things yourself. You don't have these big businesses like before that would invest in you because it's so oversaturated. I feel like a lot of these industries are so oversaturated because they see people doing it from their phone or they see people like you doing it. They've been doing it a whole life and it starts taking off and they think it happens overnight when you started this at 15 years old. They think they can just get into it and have success. So it's hard sometimes to see the greatness in it because it's oversaturated.
Well said. I agree with that 100%. Very well said. And for you, so for me, writing, I haven't wrote anything in like I'm still writing The Stumbling Tourist, but last time I wrote was maybe a few weeks ago. It's very hard. I'm not going to put any time into it unless it's time. Like I need the physical and mental energy. If it's a rough day at work, physical, mental, both, you can't do that. I got to do it on the weekend. When
Yeah.
when I come home, I
Yeah.
let work go. When I walk in, the home, it's all about the wife and kids because that's what you're working for. You're not working to carry your shit at home. Easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
we all say that and preach that, but to do it is sometimes days are harder than others. But I give you props, you both of you, for doing a podcast because that's not easy to put the time and energy into it too, because writing is one thing. I mean, you guys will set appointments, right? And then you got to show up, whether the kids are having a rough night,
Yep.
work's going rough for you guys, right? You still gotta like set, show up and whatnot, and you're already committed and whatnot. But for me, writing, yeah, I just got to do it when the days just pop out just like that. I'm like, you know what? I got the time. I'll have making an espresso or something. I like the Italian espressos. You get one of those. That's like 4 cups of coffee in one little shot. And yeah,
Mm.
I'll have one of those. And man, I'm wired. But no, I can't run without. Like my day starts with caffeine. I mean, if I didn't have caffeine, I mean, I would literally look like The Walking Dead. You need that. I don't know if you guys like caffeine, but it's, for
Oh,
me,
for
it's a
sure.
Yeah.
necessity.
Yeah, definitely with having younger kids, they're up and ready to go. My son wakes up at 6:30 every morning, so I
Oh
know
my god,
I gotta be
man.
ready by then, so,
It's
um
crazy, isn't it? Like, I'll drop them off for, daycare in the morning, and those are the days I gotta literally drag them out of bed, and then on
Yeah.
Saturdays, they're up at, like, 5 o'clock, and they're, like, ready to, like, start climbing the walls, and I'm like,
Mm.
"On the
Absolutely.
weekends,
and
you
it's
guys are up at
nonstop
5,
too.
you know?"
Yeah.
Mm.
It's
So,
crazy,
when you
right?
bring up, like is there certain times of the day that you find that are easier for you to, like, get motivated or your imagination can go places? Like, is it the morning for you? Is it mainly in the night?
Perfect. That's a very good question that nobody's asked, and I never even actually thought about it, but I do have an answer for that, and that would be like probably about 7 o'clock on Saturdays because I
Like, in
have
the
that
morning
Sunday
or closer to the like, at night?
closer to the evening. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll when I write, I'll probably write for 3 hours. It'll feel like 10 minutes, but it just kind of flows right out. And yeah, I would say Saturdays because it takes a lot out of me mentally and physically to write to the point where my brain literally feels like it's frozen when I'm done writing, and I kinda need that next day to recuperate. Because that next day when I wake up, my brain's kind of like in a fog. I'm very
Mm.
foggy-minded, like, almost like you were drinking the night before, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like that foggy-minded from drinking the night before, but without the hangover. You just have that kinda fog in the mind, and, yeah, it's good to have that day to recuperate, and, yeah, just 'cause it takes a lot for the energy to put into it, and, yeah, I wanna make this story right, and I feel like it can be really great and original, and, um, yeah, I'm really I'm doing a lot of research for Italy and everything, and, trying to set it up right, and, we've been to Italy, we went before we had kids, we used to love traveling, me and my wife would just save up our money just to go travel to, like, different countries, and I have family in Italy. I'm part Italian, but I don't speak Italian, so I was like, "You know what? I have such an interest though in the way it is over there. It's so different than the United States though, and, yeah, I thought it was beautiful over there, and obviously, you got the mafia history too, which there's a little bit of it still going on, but not as much, but, I thought I wrote a really good relevant story that can add like the mafia action comedy type thing, and it also, it has that slapstick humor, you know? And, I think it'll be really good and, original, just completely original, and, yeah, all the writers, though, you gotta copyright because 'cause I've had guys reach out to me that are supposedly studios and are like, "Oh, we really wanna see your screenplay. We noticed that it's not copyrighted yet, and you were talking about it." I was on a, I won an award at a film festival called Magic of Horror, and somebody saw it. I was on stage, and other writers were asking me questions and whatnot, which I got a lot of stage fright when I was like sweating like profusely, and I'm like, oh my god, you got to be kidding me, you know? And yeah, and then but yeah, somebody said, "Oh, well, you don't have that copyrighted yet. I'd like to take a look at it and edit it for you if you'd like." And I looked up the guy and he didn't exist. It was just a Gmail fake account. And I said, "Man," I said, "I don't know how people like you sleep at night." And then he said something like, "Fuck you" or something. And I'm like, "No,
Mm.
you." You know, but
Yeah, right.
I'm like, "Man," I'm like,
Especially
you're nuts." I'm like, "You're gonna start swearing at me when you're trying to screw me over," you know? But,
Yeah,
no, you gotta watch out for scammers like that. I mean, they're all over the place. I mean, it's and, you know, my stories are, they're very original, not like not anything else, and, like I said, you know, that's in a way, that's my baby, you know, and the podcast is you guys' baby, you know, and you gotta really, you
yep,
gotta protect what you create because other people aren't gonna do that for you. They're gonna be doing the opposite, trying to take.
yep,
absolutely. So for us, when it comes to a podcast, like the hardest thing for me personally is to sit down and start a podcast, like to sit down and actually hit record and start talking. So, like for you, what is the hardest part when it comes to writing? Is it? So I heard other artists and writers talk. Sometimes it's hard for them to end a story or a book or something than it is to finish one
then it is to
That
start one.
or to start one. Yeah, yeah.
that's a very
So,
good
like, what's the
question.
hardest part for you?
So, I would say the hard part for me is, like, a challenging thing for me when I wrote, "Why Me?" It's from a guy's perspective, and he's trying to find love while dealing with anxiety. He's, like, on the end of his wits, and, he has um, a new job that he started, and he's trying to meet this one love of his life. He's never had a girlfriend before, he's in college, or no, I'm sorry, out of college, and he's starting a career, and, you know, so when I was writing that, I wrote it, and when I was done with the screenplay, I just feel like because it was very challenging for me to write such a screenplay because I hate rom-coms,
Mm,
when I was writing that, and it was from the guy's perspective, but also from the girl's perspective, it's kinda like both. Leans more towards the guy though, you know? And, because I wanted to do that for all the guys out there. I'm like, "You know what?" I'm like, Man, I hate rom-coms. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them." But, when I wrote that, I put a lot of passion into it, and it could have been broken up into a TV series, but it was over like 3.5 hours long when I was done writing it. Because then you gotta add up the screenplay time, and each page is like a minute and a half, and, I had to cut it
mm.
down from 3.5 hours to 110 minutes because I guess
Oh,
Holly
wow.
yeah, unless you're a screenplay writer that's already established and made movies, Hollywood will not give you the time of day if you make something that's 2 hours long, from what I understand.
Okay.
Because you're kinda wasting your time in a way, I guess. My horror screenplays, like Once Upon a Dirt Nap, would be about 92 minutes, which is back in the day when you looked at movies from the '80s and '90s. I mean, you guys probably remember movies were not as long. Nowadays, Christ, you can't if you go to the movie theaters, you're looking 2.5, 3 hours tops.
Yep.
A minimum, like 2.5 usually. But yeah, my screenplays are just yeah, I don't know why it's so complicated for people to beat around the bush telling a story, what I don't and, mine are just, like, kinda, like, straight to the point. I'm not building up something that's already been, like, stolen from other stories that other screenwriters do. But yeah, they're about 90 minutes each for the most part, except for my, rom-com, that's gonna be, yeah, 110 minutes. But yeah, no, I enjoyed, putting everything I had into those stories, and they're very special, and, just to keep moving forward with that as well.
And
Sweet.
so we're gonna wrap things up in a couple minutes here, but I do
Yeah.
have another question for you. When you're writing these screenplays and writing these stories, when you come into a writer's block, what helps you get out of that, or do you not force it? Or is it something for you that, like, if it you come to a writer's block and you feel like you're forcing it, that you kinda just wait the day off, or how do you
That's a
go about doing that?
that's a very good question, and that's happened to me, when I was writing Once Upon a Dirt Nap, which was my first story that I was writing into a screenplay. Um, I wrote for 6 months, and then I didn't write for, like, 6 months, and it was my first
Okay.
story after my wife, she pointed out, "You gotta really I don't know why you stopped writing this stuff is, they're amazing stories." So, she's like, "You gotta do it. You gotta put it into a screenplay." So my first screenplay, Once Upon a Dirt Nap, like I said, I was putting it together, writing a little bit each day, maybe a page and a half a day, because I was new to it, and,
Mhm.
I wrote for 6 months straight about, editing and then canceling stuff out. And then I hit like a writer's block. And at the time, for my company that I worked for, Dealer Tire, I was a truck driver and I would drive from Connecticut to upstate New York once a day. And
Oh, wow.
when I was driving, I would literally, I was on writer's block. I would have the radio off and I would have all of a sudden scenes would stop popping into my head.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like,
Like
I'm like,
ideas
man,
or scenes from movies?
literally scenes from where I was at in the story with writer's block,
Okay,
like a
okay.
continuation of the story without me even thinking about it. It would literally
Yeah.
just like that, and I would have to pull over at a rest stop, and I would gas up or whatever I was doing, and I would type it into the notes in my phone. And each day, new scenes were just like I would literally be listening to ESPN radio, um, and all of a sudden a scene would pop into my head out of nowhere, and I'm not even thinking about the story. And I would have to turn off the radio, and it was kind of annoying because I'm driving and I'm like, man, I got to get these deliveries done. I can't be late because I want to pull over and screw around writing notes for my stories. I don't know if my boss would really like that. He'd be like, you're fired. Like, so
But at the
I
same
would
time, you don't wanna forget too, so
no, I don't want to forget. And, you know, um, definitely, that's how I overcame that. And then at that point, after that, I never really had writer's block again. I like I said, I just, it's all about that time and energy. I had writer's block getting over that first bump in the road, which was my first screenplay, and that's the first screenplay I wrote is the one that almost won the contest for, Schoolyard Studio in Ohio, and, yeah, it was I could that was my first screenplay I ever wrote, and it was gonna get turned into a TV series, which was really, special and, rewarding, and it's nice to see that other people, because all these, judges that judge it are directors, writers, and producers, so, I mean, they're not allowed to talk about the work or reach out to the work when they're done, um, rating it as a judge, but for them to see this something special in my story makes me feel really good, and it just, I just do feel like I could put some of the best stuff out there that people haven't seen in years because I feel like Hollywood's kind of in this transition where they're kind of going off the rails a little bit, honestly. I mean, I just feel like that things aren't pure or genuine anymore. You're not getting a genuine story told from the heart. You're getting remakes, rehashes, sequels, reboots, where it's the original story more, you know?
or then, like, a genuine take of from something new. Yeah,
Yeah, like
I can
like
see that.
Avatar. Avatar is not as
Yeah.
popular as it was because James Cameron waited 1,000 years to make part 2, but you gotta hit it while the iron's hot, like, have you guys seen, Stranger Things?
Yeah, yep.
I watched part of it, I didn't never really got into it.
Yeah, I mean, so season 1, it takes, like, maybe, I'm gonna say 5 episodes to really get into it because we watched it back in the day when it first was getting started and everybody's talking about it, which when I hear people talking about a new show or a new movie, it makes me not wanna watch it because like, you're
Right,
hearing
same
about it
here.
all day, and I kinda like to wait till it cools off a little bit, like Dexter. We love the Dexter TV show. Definitely my favorite TV show of all time, I would say. Michael C. Hall. You guys see Dexter?
I never got into Dexter's either, but I remember seeing and people talking about it during those times, but I never got into it.
Yeah, definitely a good show that really just has that originality, but, yeah, no, it was. definitely good to look at what people are creating, and I thought that was pretty unique on how that show came out, and hopefully movies just get back on track, though. I feel like you gotta just, give people what they want, you know?
Yeah, for sure. For me, for my last question, I would have for someone new, someone that hasn't come across your work yet, what is one of your writings or one of your works that is out now that you would say that you would that if someone asks, like, it's hard to explain. What's something that you would recommend me read first, if that makes sense, or get into first? Like, not necessarily your favorite, but like one
Oh,
that you feel like was just different than the others.
out of the stories that I've written?
Yep.
Yeah, so, I cater to all 3 stories cater to different people of fans of different things. So, like, Once Upon a Dirt Nap takes place in the '80s, and it's just a brief description. 2 boys, Joey and Jared, go on a field trip to Salem, Massachusetts, and they end up stumbling upon in the back room the Book of Spells, and they take it. They bring it home. They end up doing a spell, resurrection spell at a cemetery, and they bring back this long deceased man from like the 1800s. And at first, they're scared of him, but then they're using him to like get out of school early, fun stuff like that. And then you got the 2 town drunks who see what the kids did, and they're like, their minds are fuzzy, and they're like, "Oh, this is our gold mine," you know, because they're
Yeah.
pretty much homeless, you know. So they're like trying to get away from these guys and whatnot, and also trying to protect their friend as they're trying to hide him and whatnot. They have him like hidden in a tree house, and they'll like bring him and like feed him food and stuff, and he ends up getting out and wreaking havoc on the town, and it's very funny. You know, it kinda goes along with, like, Goonies or something, like, it's just a very fresh story. I watch a lot of '80s and '90s films, and, you know, all my scenes in it are they haven't been done in other movies. And then you got so that's comedy horror, and then Eggs in the Attic, that's my sci-fi horror. That's about a scientist who works in splicing DNA for the government, and he ends up going rogue, and you know he goes a little crazy. The government ends up firing him, and now he's a substitute teacher at a high school in Wyoming. It's a town I made up, Straterville, Wyoming, and this takes place in the '80s as well. And so now the prior scientist is now a substitute teacher, and he's teaching science class and starts bringing in some of the experiments he took from the government that he's working on. And he's showing these kids like this cocoon that he created and whatnot. And he's using DNA samples of the strengths of each animal, like the speed of a cheetah, you know, jaws of a lion, the eyes of an eagle, and he's putting them all together to create these creatures that have the best every part of them is from a DNA splicing of a animal that had the best part about them, you know? So
Yeah.
these are strong, like physically strong and intelligent creatures, and he ends up, he builds like a wall inside his attic, a door that opens up to a room where he's working on this stuff because obviously the government comes in and checks on him and whatnot, and they end up bursting out and attacking him and killing him, and you know, the house ends up going for auction, and while one of the creatures is out, the other creatures are still growing. He feeds them. He has all these things connected to them, so they're consistently growing. A new family moves in, and the boys' parents go out on a business trip and hire a babysitter, and these creatures end up, you know, coming. They're in the attic making noise. That's why I call it Eggs in the Attic. It's like it's a different story. It's like
Mm.
a catchy title, and the babysitter goes up there, she ends up getting killed. The kid Bradley ends up surviving and running out, and he builds up a friendship with one of the police officers at a small town who ends up looking out for him because he's the new kid in town. He was facing stuff with the bullies in the school, so the cop kind of looks out for him, and he ends up reaching to him. And then so the new kid in town, the police officer, and his girlfriend, the cop's girlfriend, end up trying to stand up and protect the town with what's going on as the government starts to shut everything down, kind of quarantining the town together and not letting these creatures get loose to see, so the world can see what's going on. So the story goes on
Yeah.
that. That screenplay got a lot of traction when it came out. one of the awards I won, they made a movie trailer for it. Um, and I thought that was pretty cool. They made an actual physical movie trailer on it for YouTube, and that was pretty neat. I was really happy to see that. And then yeah, why me? The guy's looking for romance and whatnot, and he's one of those like very anxiety prone guys, and he's a germaphobe and whatnot, and it's just funny seeing him from a guy's perspective. I feel like so you got sci-fi for Eggs in the Attic, horror comedy for Once Upon a Dirt Nap, but then rom-com towards a guy's perspective for Why Me? And just funny scenes you see this guy going through. You're just gonna like you laugh your ass off because he's consistently getting like screwed over by these girls that he's going on dates with, and he ends up going out with a girl that he really, really likes, and he dresses up really nice, going on a New York City subway, and there's a bum standing behind him with like a bottle of rum, and he keeps bumping into him, and the rum spills all over his jacket. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm trying to go on a date." And he's like, "Fuck off." He's like, "Get away from me." And he's like, "Oh my God." He's like, "You got rum all over me. I stink," and then he goes into the restaurant and he's trying to impress this girl that he really likes. And he goes, "Can I have a bottle of wine for this table?" And then the waiter goes to talk to the manager and they both come out. They said, "Sir, you reek of alcohol. We can't serve you anything." He's like, "You kidding me?" He's like,
Yeah.
"I was on a subway. This bum spilled rum all over me. It's not me." And they're like, "You need to leave if you're going to start getting loud." And the girl ends up leaving and she's embarrassed. And I'm like, oh my God, like this guy's a mess. But I feel
Yeah.
like guys can relate to that, and it's just yeah, it's a good story, and I feel like that can relate to like comedy. So anybody that really likes comedies, but then you got sci-fi horror, I would say for Eggs in the Attic, and then horror comedy for Once Upon a Dirt Nap.
So, do you have any questions before we wrap this up?
Oh, no, no, no.
So for, not only us, but for future, people, what's one way that we can support you or go about supporting you? Is it for us to go get your films, on Amazon, I believe you said about before? They're available some places, correct?
Well, his
Yeah.
screenplays,
The
yeah.
screenplays, that's what I meant, yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
How
If you Google my screenplays, that they're being sold in a Walmart, you got Amazon, you
okay.
got Barnes and Noble, so you can order them through those are the big sites, and then you got smaller book sites that are also selling them as well. And yeah, no, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll definitely share this video on there for you guys as well, just to help build your audience too, and hopefully just keep moving forward with what you guys are doing. You guys are great hosts. I feel very comfortable, and it's really great talking with you guys and really sharing my story and hearing your stories as well.
Yeah, man, same to you, like, keep going. I can see one of these being made into a movie or even a miniseries,
On, like, Netflix or something like that, I can definitely see
yeah,
that.
like, your imagination is insane and,
You have a lot of passion, we can just see it from you just speaking, you have a lot of passion behind it.
yeah, and I appreciate you coming in here and, spending some time with us and getting to know you.
I appreciate that, guys, and I'd love to be back on again, maybe just to talk sports or what have you. It was really great being on here, and you guys are very warm hosts and very welcoming. And yeah, it was honestly my big pleasure just being on here with you guys.
Well,
And
thank you,
go
man, we hope you have a great night,
Patriots too, right?
yeah, we'll definitely get you on after the series, after the playoffs, and see how everything rolls out. Hopefully, I'm going for the Patriots. My brother's a Patriots fan. We recently just got into sports cards, so we got a lot of Drake May sports cards. So we're rooting for the Patriots.
Oh,
That's all I
smart
got to
man.
say. Yep. So
Yeah.
we
Oh,
hope you have a
that
great night, man. So you cut out
absolutely. I
there.
wish you
Sorry.
guys a wonderful weekend.
You as well, man. With the snow, stay safe. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thanks again, Jason. Yep, you
Well,
too.
man.
Bye.